Thank you, Ms. Bowman. And she analyzed the lessons and experience we can draw from the financial crisis and how to build a new economic system. We should match modern values and also should be a system suitable for all the people. Now you talk about one issue. Now we notice that the Obama administration now is pushing forward a health plan for America. We think that in the context of financial crisis, personally, I think to promote employment, especially guarantee the social security for old-aged people, I think is more important for a health plan.
In the United States, there are 45 million people without health coverage. And where do they get health care? They get it at the emergency room. And so, which is the most expensive way to provide health coverage. We've been working on health care reform with small businesses, and what we hear from entrepreneurs is most of them, small business owners with 20 or less employees, don't have health coverage themselves, can't afford it for their employees. And if we had a national health care system, that would be one of the second largest expense that employers would no longer have.
大家一起来携手解决这个问题，促进建立一个和谐的社会。谢谢。
Thank you. That's an excellent question, and I absolutely agree with you that the U.S. uses 20% of the world energy, and yet we want to teach the rest of the world how to be energy efficient, right? But the same is also true in America, where you have people with a lot of resources who use a lot of the energy are telling the poor people, now if you just use public transportation, if you just stop using so much energy, we would actually not be using so much energy as a country. I think what we can do is actually learn a lot from people from developing countries, and I think we should be very open and very humble about learning from those experiences, that they can teach us how to get by with so much less energy than the energy that we currently consume. And I think we have this tradition of, we're like the cowboy, right? We pull ourselves up and we just do everything on our own. But the more humble we become, the more open we are to learning from emerging economies and working cooperatively together, I think we could do a better job of reducing our own energy consumption. And I think we learn it from people with less resources. I don't think we learn it from Americans with a lot of resources and using a lot of the world energy.
全球的社会责任，因为你发展好你们的危机都影响着全球。
You are right. I mean, I think that we as a country have not been very forthcoming. If you heard in my speech, it is clear that the financial crisis can be laid at the feet of the United States of America because of a lack of regulations, right? We allow financial vehicles to just continue to sell paper, right? And people made a lot of money on turning over paper, but the reality is that once the paper started falling, it wasn't based on anything substantial. And so as a country, we have to be very honest about where are we lacking regulations. And we're a country that changes political leadership every 4 years. We have presidential elections, we have new Congress that take office. And so sometimes we have political leaders that are thinking more about the greater good. Other times we have political leaders who are thinking about only the people with money and power and privilege. We're not quite sure where we are now. We're hopeful that we're better off today than we were, say, a couple of years ago. And we're moving into a more harmonious, collective good, but it's still early to tell, right? We're still involved in many things that many American people would like us not to be involved in. And so the good news, as a former state legislator, it was my job to actually represent the people who didn't have a voice at that table, to bring their concerns to the greater group, and then collectively figure out what was going to work best for the people that were voiceless, that were not in the room, that did not have a say in how the government decisions were going to impact their life.